fact, I would argue, if you got me as your mentor, it would be pretty annoying because a mentor will tell you their experience, but it might not be relevant to your life. This video today, in a way, is all the knowledge I have anyway. So of course, you can still have me as your mentor, but what you're really saying, if you're honest about it, is you're looking for a coach. You're looking for someone to keep you accountable. And you can actually break down what that means into what you really need. If you want someone to work with you in your business and keep you accountable, get a co-founder. If you want someone to help you with sales, hire a salesperson. If you know the question you want to ask, then ask it. Now, I say all that, I still want to deliver on a promise to help you get a mentor. And this is how you get a mentor. Number one, you research what matters to that person. Someone reached out to me yesterday asking me to be their mentor for a property development business they want to run. Do you not know who I am? I hate the property industry and everything it stands for. I think property should be a basic human right, and the present buy-to-let system has screwed the world up. I don't want to help someone do that. Now, they were very nice and very polite. I won't name who they are, but I'm telling you right now, do your research before you ask someone for help. Of course, I'm not going to reply to that. In fact, I did reply saying no, but I'm saying that most people won't reply. You don't want to ask someone to be your mentor and have not done the research on them. The second thing is, don't just say, please be my mentor. Now, there are plenty of people that don't take my view that you don't need a mentor and do want to mentor, and they will mentor you. Some will charge and some won't. I'll get onto that in a minute. But when you ask someone to mentor you, remember, it's a bit like saying, would you like to get married? You need to define what it means. So define what you mean when you say, will you be my mentor? Tell people what that means for you. I would like 10 minutes of your time once a week. And perhaps consider, if you do start defining what it is, what sort of questions you're going to ask. And often, if you ask a question, you will get a mentor. If you ask for a mentor, you'll get no reply at all, because no one can commit to an open-ended question, especially from a stranger, asking for mentorship. You need to define it. In an ideal world, I suggest you ask a question first. That's actually why I built helpbank.com. So you can go and write a question to 105,000 potential mentors. Now, if after all this, you're still set on getting a mentor, another way to get a mentor is change the word mentor to advisor. And when you're looking to build a company, for example, or maybe you want a mentor to help you build a company, look for someone that has specific knowledge that you're after and ask them to join your advisory board. Now, advisory boards are a little bit more glamorous for most people. A mentor isn't something you see on many people's LinkedIn profile, but advisor to this company and advisor to that company often is. So reframe it as advisory. Now, if you've got a business with purpose and you followed the other things that I've said in this long video today, you'll know how important things like process and systems and structure and goal will lead you to decide what type of advisor you need. And it's much easier to get an advisor than it is a mentor, and much easier to structure what the relationship is like. If they're, for example, one of your board of advisors, they'd probably have equity in your business. So you're no longer asking someone to hang out with you and give you a bit of advice and motivate you. You're asking someone to give you specific knowledge around something they love and believe in, and it's much, much easier. The next thing you can do to help yourself get a mentor is connect to the people that they are connected to. So referrals are the best way to get help. Many times, someone I know for a long time that's helped me out has asked me to mentor someone to help them out, and I have done it without question. And so that referral, a bit like in sales and the other things I've mentioned today, referrals are so powerful. Try to get someone to refer you to the mentor that you want. It's also much easier for someone to say yes when they've got some reference point of someone that knows you. Now, be careful. Don't go become friends with someone just to get them to refer you. It will be transparent and actually hurt you. So do it genuinely. But if you can get a referral for the mentor that you need, it's very powerful. Now, the final way to get a mentor, if that's what you want, the best way is to give value to the person you want as a mentor. Some of the people I've helped in my past have helped me first. I didn't ask them to. So for example, someone redesigned a website for me and made my website better. Of course, after someone's gone and made all that effort to support me and help me, I'm going to give them time. And I think that time in the early days allows us to work together to define the questions they're asking and define the things that person actually needs. And so go and give value to the person that you want as your mentor. Don't just ask them for something, try to bring them something, and it will make a huge difference. And I think that that's one of the things that people never do. They just want to extract value. And this goes back to my personal philosophy in life. It's not give and take, it's give without take. If you follow give without take when trying to get a mentor, I'm pretty sure you'll get that mentor. But don't expect anything. Don't expect that person to become your mentor. Give them value, give them respect. Clearly you respect them, you want them to be your mentor. Make the effort, and over time it will come back to you, even if it isn't in that person becoming your mentor. How equity works. This is such an important subject. If you don't get the equity structure right in your business, you will fail. I have been involved in many businesses that didn't do this right and collapsed, not because they weren't good businesses, but because they didn't know how the structure of equity works. Now, just before I get into the detail of how to structure your equity structure in the future correctly, I will make sure that you understand one important point. Most people don't want to drop below 50% equity in a company because they think it means they lose control. That's not true. You are able to control your company under the operational agreement. Now, in each country, US, Britain, different markets, you'll have different terminology for this. But you control your company by the shareholder agreement. You don't control your company by the amount of equity that you hold. So if, for example, you have a 50-50 equity split with someone, you are actually potentially in joint control as far as equity is concerned, but you can still allocate one person to make all the decisions and have actual control. So do make sure that you understand that equity ownership does not equal control, right? It does not equal control. Keep an eye on this mindset, because you will often make big mistakes around equity ownership, thinking it means you lose control if you drop below 50%, and that is not true. The second thing to keep in mind with equity is understanding where you're going with the business. Everything I've already discussed in this video is interlinked, but if you don't know where you're going, you don't know how much equity you need to get there. Too many people sell a large chunk of equity at the early stages of their business, only to realize later in their business they don't have enough equity to get to the finish line. If your model is like tech company model, and you intend to raise a lot of money, you have to be very cautious with the equity in the early days. Now, there are all sorts of graphs and information on the internet that will explain to you this point, but I'm highlighting it to you so you can go and research it. It's a very deep subject, but do not sell too much equity at the beginning. Having said that, the best thing you can ever do is sell no equity at all. I know it's cool to raise money, I know it, but it's cooler to run a business where you don't raise money. A bootstrap business, in my opinion, is healthier. You can retain 100% control and 100% own equity. It's always probably going to be better. Now, there's a lot of exceptions to that suggestion, and one of them I would say is make sure you don't make this one big mistake I see a lot of people make. I have seen people start businesses, and when they start businesses with a partner, they do 52%, 48%. And often for no other reason than the person who came up with the idea believes that he deserved 2% more. This has happened time and time again. It's a huge mistake. I've seen arguments ensue 2 years later between those two people because they didn't just do it 50-50. Do not assume, again, control 52% means anything. If anything, it's detrimental. So if you have a co-founder, my instant recommendation is you do 50-50. Do not belittle the other partner by giving them less. They will instantly psychologically think they will do 48% of the work, you will do 52% of the work. It does not bode well in the long term. Now, there is a danger with 50-50. That danger is decision lock. If you're making one decision and your partner's making the other, and you haven't put a shareholder agreement in place to decide who has the deciding vote, you have a problem. So the way around this is often to have a third party help you make big decisions. Someone you both trust, ideally, but you create a 50-50 ownership structure with a board of advisors, for example. And this allows you to make decisions, especially difficult decisions, without major argument and avoid conflict with your partner.